Good evening. Welcome aboard. I about forgot to put myself in the live stream. Oh well, it's Thursday, guys. Welcome back to my man cave. Uh, Brother Jeff, good evening.
Good evening.
Anthony, glad you can make it. Tanya and Lily at the helm upstairs. All right, I'm ready for a drink, guys. It's been a long week, and I haven't gotten a lot done this week. I worked a couple extra shifts this week. I worked Monday night and Tuesday night to go along with the Saturday and Sunday night that I normally work, so I'm wiped out. So it's time for some bourbon. Jeff, are you having a drink with us tonight?
There's a bear poo poo in the woods
Well, most of the time.
most of the time.
You having the Jack number 7?
Good. Good guess, John. Good guess. Go play the lottery tonight.
I'm still working on this Southern Star Paragon, this wheated bourbon from the local distillery. I like it, and I've just been sticking with that here. Andy, glad you can make it with us. Tanya, you drinking tonight?
I'm having a ginger ale.
Cheers. So, yeah, it's been a week. I'm tired. It's been a challenging week.
Hey,
So,
look, my
Mom's
mother-in-law's on.
Mom's here. Okay.
You notice how she said hi, Jeff and Tanya.
I know.
Yeah.
She didn't say nothing to me.
She likes us, Beth.
She does. Well, I
Oh.
have it on the highest authority that I am her favorite daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've already talked to Mom twice today, so I've gotten mine in. Mike, glad you could make it with us. Let me get over there to the chat window so I can see everything else that's going on. Carl, if you're having a drink with me tonight, leave me a comment over here. Let me know what you're drinking and let me know where you're from. If you've come in here before and not told us where you're watching from, let us know. We enjoy seeing where everybody's watching from. Brent, glad you could make it in. We usually have some people from quite a long way out. Anthony's having a Pinot Noir.
Oh no! Oh, I love it when you do this French wines.
I like to read the wine list to Tanya. It's fun. Pinot Noir is one of the ones that we come across, and then there's the Cabernet Sauvignon,
Yeah.
and the Pinot Grigio is on there also. Yeah.
Like the Mexican quesadillas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But the French wines, Tanya appreciates my ability to speak the language.
That's one of the
native.
reasons why I
Right.
married him.
Oh boy. Drinking beer as always. That's good. Andy, I'm still waiting to see your review on that pellet grill. Andy's been rocking that pellet grill pretty hard. So we'll see some more coming from that. Gerard Master Barbecue. Grappa Italiana. Is that a wine? Tanya, help me out there. What is that?
Dude, I don't know. I
I
don't
don't know either. Ryan's down there on the Gulf Coast. Glad you could make it with us. Bud Lights. Thief River Falls, Minnesota. I wonder if the weather's cooling off up near the Canadian border yet. It's been cooler here in September. It's actually starting to cool off a little bit. So we've seen temperatures below 60 degrees early in the morning here a few times already this month. Friends, Zingy.
So I won't see that until February.
Yeah.
It's not that he's French, but he has excellent French pronunciation.
Tom, I'm a man.
Pronunciation of words.
Yes.
Man of many talents.
Like
Yeah.
parlez-vous, France.
Parlez Vals. You
Yeah.
gotta get that
Rendus Vals is one of my
Rendus Vals, yeah.
favorite. Yeah, Rendus Vals.
Have a secret Renda's Vals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roswell, Georgia. Ricky, glad you could make it.
Well, look at
Awesome.
this. Somebody's got a new toy.
The Ninja Woodfire. Fran, I'm not sure if I know what that. Oh, is that? Jeff, what is that? I think I saw something about that somewhere.
I think that's the new little Ninja grill that's out there. She says
I'm,
it smokes as fast as a bunny.
I'm not
Mm.
sure if I'm familiar with that one. I'm gonna have to look that one up. Ninja makes all kinds of cool stuff. I've got some Ninja products around here. I've got their slow cooker that I really like, and I've got one of their blenders that's a blender and a food processor. I use the food processor part of that, but I haven't used it as a blender since Tanya and I bought the Vitamix, and we're going to talk about that tonight too because I used that today on the hummus, and I don't think any other blender that I've ever had my hands on would work this hummus properly, but that thing did the job.
51 is what
Yeah,
he says up in Thief River.
that'd be nice.
Yeah,
That
it
would
would.
definitely be nice. All right. Well, Tanya, I'm going to bring you back in a little bit because Tanya is going to tell you whether the hummus I did today is any good or not. The skins, pulp, seeds left over from winemaking. Drop it. Okay. So it would Gerard, is that characteristic of a cognac in any way? Let me know. That might be something I'd like to try. Okay. Now, Jeff, you did some cooking this week.
A little bit.
Let's see. Lamb chops.
Lamb chops, buddy. Seasoned with
Gracie
some.
like those? Does Gracie like those as much as she likes the lamb ribs?
Oh yeah, she had it for breakfast this morning.
Oh
Those
boy.
are seasoned with extra virgin olive oil and then rubbed with McCormick bruschetta seasoning. That stuff is awesome on lamb. If you haven't tried that, you really
You
need
need
to.
to try that seasoning blend I put together that I put on the last lamb stuff that I made. That North African flavor profile.
Hmm.
It's real easy to make. We'll look at that. But those are some nice. Those are pretty thick. What are those? About an inch and a half thick.
Yep, the ones from Costco. They're right at an
Okay.
inch and a half thick. Two of them is a perfect meal.
Yeah.
Unless you're Kathy, then it's one.
So you just seared these. It looks like you're cooking on a pellet, Joe.
Yep, brought them
Yeah.
up to internal temp of 130, then let them rest a
Right.
couple minutes.
Do you rest them?
Yep, let them rest about 5 minutes.
Yeah, lamb's something I like rare. I cook lamb more rare than I cook my steaks usually. Is mom going to bed? She said.
No, it's gonna find some dinner. Night, mom.
Okay, mom, I'm gonna come by there tomorrow afternoon. I'll be in Hickory in the afternoon tomorrow, and I'll come by on my way home. Or I'll let you know. I'll make sure you're going to be there before I come by. So we'll go see mom tomorrow afternoon. So I'm guessing these were pretty good. So Gerard says that's similar. Cognac, I think cognac is comes from distilling wine, and that might have a similar characteristic. Is this the right first picture, Jeff?
No, it's the full hopper should have been the first picture, but that's okay. That's the second picture.
Uh, oh boy.
You
All
don't
right.
have the full hopper.
Yeah, I do. Well, no, I don't. You can
Don't
give
worry
it to
about it.
me, man. I got your 12. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got the 12 pictures in the one video. That's what you said I was supposed to have. Anyway, we'll figure it
Well,
out. Tell us
yep,
what
that's
we're doing.
we're doing. As a matter of fact, that one looks like it's. That's just going on. We're doing two pork butts that I picked up from Costco, which they only have the boneless style. Both of them are seasoned with the Atlanta Grill Company's Georgia Butts and Ribs, and then Myron Mixon's Hickory rub.
Right?
And I scored them to get a little extra crust on them.
Is that the first time you've scored them?
Yeah, I've never scored my butts before. I've never
Well, I
really
hadn't
thought
either
about it.
till recently. I hadn't either till recently. It's just something I've recently started doing.
So I thought I'd give it a shot. So I put
Okay.
these on at 200 on the bark, and go ahead and go to the next picture. Oh yeah, they're all out of order because that's actually the end picture.
All right, hang on a second. I'll get this fixed. This is why we got to come up with a better way to do this.
Well, that's why on the emailed ones I put butt 1, butt 2, butt
Well,
3, butt 4.
that's the order I put them in here on. So I don't know what I've
Oh,
done wrong. Uh, I
yeah,
must
bring
be
up all the
missing some
pictures and
pictures in because the next picture after that's the butt in the pan after it's been cooked.
right. So you're missing when they first went on, which I mean that's no big. You're also missing the hopper that's filled to about an inch from the top with pellets. So just go ahead and
Here's what I've
continue.
got. These are the
Yeah.
close pictures in the video that I have.
Okay. Well, actually, you're missing 2 pictures. There's 12 pictures of the pork butts and then the 2 lamb chops. So you're missing 2 pictures. No biggie.
Okay.
So
All
just
right.
go ahead and continue. Next picture is
So anyway, tell us tell us about the process that we're looking at here before we
okay.
go
So what?
forward.
Yeah, what I did was I set the bark to 200 degrees and we put those on. The one on the left is going to go for 12 hours, and then that's going to be moved to another cooking source to finish up at 300 for 2.5 hours. And the right one at that point will be wrapped in the pan, and it'll go for another 12 hours on the bark. Now earlier today you asked me, you don't put those on the rack and let the drippings go down uh, to the heat shield. At this point, there was not hardly any juices in the pans.
Right.
And no, Janice, I do not use anything as a binder. I just
That's why
put
I asked
my
that question.
yeah, just put my rubs on.
These things don't really start dripping fat till the temperature gets up north of 150, and then
Right,
you
and
kind
at
of
that point, at that 12 hours, I'm thinking I was like right at 130, so it was very little juice in the pan. So
130.
that's why I use the
Okay.
pan underneath.
How big were these?
Uh, about 9.5 pounds each.
Because I'm normally north of 150 at 12 hours normally.
Well, I was sitting there right at
Okay.
in between 195 and 200 on the bark setting. The
Right.
fireboard said it
Okay.
was higher. Ever
Yeah.
since you said your bark runs about 10 degrees hotter. Now mine is running 10 degrees hotter. Thank you very
No,
much, John.
mine runs 10 degrees shy.
Oh, I'm 10 degrees over.
Mine normally I'm 10. Normally, whatever my bark says, the actual temperature in there, according to the fireboard, is 10 degrees hotter or 10 degrees below what the bark says. So, yeah, it's 10 degrees is not a game changer, but
Yeah,
10 degrees is a bigger difference at 200 than it is at 300. So it's something to
absolutely.
look at. Yeah, it does extend your cook time. So anyway, you've got one butt here that you're going to cook for 12 hours, the one on the
Right.
left, and then one that's going to go for 24.
Well, actually,
So,
the one on the left went 12 in the bark, and then another
right.
2.5 and 300.
Right. So that's the way I've been cooking my
Yeah.
butts is 12 in the smoke and then finishing it wrapped at 300 degrees. And just like you, my finish time is always somewhere between 2 and 3 hours, depending on how
Yep.
big the butt is. I have had them finish up as early as an hour and a half, but normally it's around 2, and it's quite predictable. It's
Yep.
it's very predictable. I'm not seeing any range error there that goes outside of about 20 minutes. Usually I can predict it between 2 and 2.5 hours to be the
Yep.
finishing point. So the other one's going to go for 24 hours. Tell us what the plan is on the one on the right.
Well, the one on the right at 12 hours, we're going to wrap it. We're going to let it continue to roll at 200 degrees. That's what that next picture is going to show you. It's all nicely wrapped and tucked away in its pan. And it's going to sit
All
in
right.
there for, like I said, another 12 hours.
Okay. And then which butt is this?
That is the,
I bet that's the 24-hour butt.
I'm thinking it is.
Yeah.
Yes, I know it is because the other one, the picture was on the countertop, and I cropped the picture down. So yes,
Right.
that's the 24-hour, but it got a little darker on the bark uh,
Right.
than the 12-hour. Not much, but a little darker.
Right. And is this the 24-hour? No, this is the
No,
12-hour one.
that's the 12-hour just starting to pull, and
Right.
when if you show that video, I mean that thing, it fell apart. I mean there was, uh, I mean I'm
Yeah.
hardly using any pressure at all. That thing's
Right.
just falling apart. It's
Did
like
you look at
butter.
did you look at the internal temperature of that meat right there before you or when you took it off the grill on that 12-hour one?
I'm going by what I remember on the fireboard, which, like I say, it was just shy of 150, I think, when I took it off. Uh, then in the oven, it shot up. It got to 202 in the oven at
Okay.
the 300.
Because I have been letting all of mine go to 205 and above, and that's the kind of results I'm getting right there. Just what you see there
I mean,
when I let them go to that.
it was just easy shredding, and
Yep.
there it is, the finish shred.
That looks good. I love
That
pork
one was
roast.
really good. My grandson said, yeah, that's grandson approved. I think the next picture should be the sandwich.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let me back up here for a minute. When you pulled this guy, did you let it stay in all that rendering and mix that in with it?
No, what I do, John, is I take the renderings off and I put them in a separate. Uh, I got a 1 quart measuring cup. I
Yep.
put them in that. Put it in the refrigerator for the grease to all come to the top. Get rid of the
Yeah.
grease. Then I have the gel. Then I mix that back in with the meat.
Okay. So you don't let the fat go back in.
No,
Oh
no.
boy, you're a lightweight.
You got to try it that way. It's really
I'm just
good.
messing with you. And
I know
okay,
you.
that being the case, there's another one trick pony you ought to buy for your kitchen. I've got one and I use it for this very thing. It's a
Nah,
fat separator.
you don't need that fat separator. Just put
It
it in
works
the
great. It works
put
like a
it.
champ. You don't have to chill it first. Just let it sit on the countertop for 30 minutes and all the fat comes to the top and you can pour the liquid off from underneath the fat.
Nah, just put it in the refrigerator and then you just lift the whole fat disc out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's the finished sandwich.
Right. Now, as far as going
Pretty good.
from right there, that shows you that's the 24-hour one. At the
Yeah.
end, when I took that off, that was the internal temp,
Right.
186.6 on that.
Okay, guys, there's a lesson here. The
You're never
fin-
going to get to 203 at
the
200 degrees.
finishing temperature on that pork butt was 186. And that's when that butt was ready to come off. And I'm sure that butt fell apart just like the other one did, if not more so.
It did, but I'm going to go on to tell you, as I told you off screen, 24 hours is not a thing I would do again.
Yeah.
Um, it was tender, it was moist, but as you took a chunk of it and you started chewing on it, it didn't take much chewing, and all of a sudden it kind of felt like you were chewing mush.
So
It
it's too
was like
tender at that point.
it's overdone. I mean,
Okay.
I shouldn't say it's
I'm with
overdone. It's
you.
over tender.
I did a brisket like that and I had the same results. My brisket was more tender than I wanted it to be.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I'm gonna mix the two of them together. That guy right there shows you the bark after 24 hours of cooking. Now, it started. You don't have the start picture. It was
Uh-uh.
1 inch below the top of the hopper. So it ran.
You probably use what, 2/3 of a hopper?
I would say probably 2/3 of a hopper. Yeah. So
So
I'm
you
gonna
use
say probably around 12, 10 to 12 pounds maybe of
right. So
pellets.
it's running a half a pound an hour to run it at 200
Yeah,
degrees. That's pretty good.
that's pretty fuel efficient.
I don't think any other pellet smoker. I never bothered to measure. The only grill I ever measured the pellet consumption on was the Yoder because the Yoder was a pellet hog. It burned 2 pounds of pellets an hour at 250 degrees. So it was burning a lot of pellets. And that also, guys, that number varies based on the pellets you're using.
Oh,
Some pellets
definitely.
produce more heat than others, and
This
this
was the Myron Mixon Cherry Blend
right.
is what I used on this. Now, if you use the oak, that one right there is the 12-hour.
So I had those out of order. Oh
Yeah,
well,
that's a 12-hour. But and like I say, you can't really tell that much difference in the bark. Um, and like I said, if you look at the pans, the amount of juices in each one is
yeah.
roughly the same. But both of them came out super moist, super tender. Matter of fact, second one more tender than I would have liked it to have been. So like I
That
said, I'm
looks
gonna
pretty
mix the two
good, Jeff.
together, and then I'm gonna vacuum seal a bunch of it.
That looks really good. So what you got on tap for next week?
Don't know yet, John.
Tom. You've got that big Yoder, that Yoder, the YS 1500. Tom Cleveland has the large Yoder. Tom, do you have any idea what kind of pellet consumption that thing has? If you wanted to run that guy at 250, that one's got to use more than the 640 does, simply because it's a lot bigger cooking chamber. I'm curious if you have any idea how much that one uses. That thing's a beast. Yeah, he says
Yep,
it
large pellets.
yeah,
It
it's
it, it doesn't sip, Tom.
Tom's got that. I remember when Tom bought that thing, and it's a beast. It really is, but it's a lot larger cooking chamber than the YS 640. So I'm pretty sure it's going to have. It won't be twice the pellet consumption, but it might be 25 or 30% more per hour than the
At
640.
least.
Yeah. All right. Well, I got a couple of things I want to show you this week, and I want to start out quickly. I want to show you this new toy, the TempSpike. This is I told you guys recently I've become an affiliate with ThermoPro, and this product is something brand new in their line. They've come up with their own version of the Meter Plus. This is a wireless temperature probe, and I have a Meter Plus, so I'm fortunate that I was able to have that, to compare with this thing. I don't like the Meter Plus, and I put it away. I only used it a handful of times, and the reason I didn't like the Meter Plus is because I could set it up at my grill out on the deck and walk in the house to my computer desk, which is uh, maybe 30 or 30, 40 linear feet from my grilling deck, but there's several walls there, and I could not maintain the Bluetooth connection on my phone with the Meter Plus. And this thing boasted a better connectivity, so they offered it to me, and I decided I'd give it a try. Of course, they wanted me to do a review and demo on it, which I have done. I published that demo and review on the Man Cave Meals Facebook page and YouTube channel earlier this week, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. There's an affiliate link there where you can get a discount on this if you're interested in buying one of these. There's a good discount on it that actually starts tomorrow with the link that I provided in the video. But this thing's pretty slick. The wireless probe is just like the Meter wireless probe. Let me get this one out of the box here, and I'll see if I let me put that back down here for a moment. Uh, this is not going to focus on that very well, but it's a ambient temperature probe on the thick end. There's a line here that's how far you're supposed to insert this into the meat, at least that far, and that part is 3 inches from the tip. So it, this guy lives in this dock, in this cradle, and this cradle keeps that wireless probe charged, and it's also a Bluetooth repeater. The thermometer itself, its Bluetooth connection is with the base cradle that it rests in. It only makes a connection there, and this guy creates the signal that you connect your phone to. And it's pretty slick. It works really well. I was going to show you a couple of the screens from the app. This thing was stupid easy to set up. All you do is you charge it like you do anything else. Charge it first, and then you take the probe out of the cradle, and when you start the app, it finds it with just in a few seconds, and you hit the add device button, and here it's telling you what to do, but it picks it up and it starts working immediately. It's very painless and seamless to set this guy up, and the app works fairly well. When you start a cook, it'll let you select your meat, and some of these meat options you can see here have target temperatures defined, and the ones that have the little arrows mean that there are multiple temperature options. For like beef, you can cook it anywhere from rare to well done, but the real key here is this plus icon down at the bottom. You can create your own. The pork one doesn't go up to 200 plus degrees like if you want to cook a pork butt. This whoever thought out this app didn't think about low and slow long-term barbecue cooking like butts and briskets. So, but you have the ability to define your own setting there, which I did for my first couple of cooks on this. It's got a built-in timer, so if you want to create a countdown timer, it'll let you do that, and you can start and reset the timer, and it'll alarm for you when the timer's up. Here's a picture of that screen where you can scroll through the meat settings for. I think I had beef selected here, and you can pick and choose which one your target's going to be. And this is what the main screen looks like when you're actually running the thermometer on a cook. I don't actually have a cook running in this picture. We'll see one of those, but it's registering my ambient temp and showing the meat temp, which was just room temperature settings here. Here's a picture where down at the bottom I added pork butt, and I put a 203-degree target on the pork butt. This one also has a feature in the settings where you can tell it that you would like to have an alarm within a user-defined degree range of your target. Like when I cooked the chicken first, and we'll see that in a minute, and I have my target temperature for taking a chicken off the grills when the breast gets to 150 in the deep part, but I wanted to know when it hit 145 so I could go look at it. Now, I was able to set that up with this app. It will also show you a graph of your meat temperature. It won't show you a graph of your ambient temperature, but it will show you this one. And it saves these on each cook where you can go back and look at them. And as far as I know, you cannot add notes or pictures to this one like you can with the Fireboard, but maybe down the line, maybe additional development down the line will change some of that. When you start a cook, it reminds you how far you need to put the meat probe in. You need to be able to put it in all the way to the line on the thermometer, and then it reminds you, don't put your base too close to something that's hot that will damage it. So, and that screen will let you turn it off where it doesn't show you that every time. Here's a screenshot of when I was starting my chicken cook, and the meat hadn't been on very long when I started this one, but there's one minor thing that kind of bugs me a little bit about this device. It's not a game changer or a showstopper, but that ambient temperature. I had my grill preheated to 325 or 350 for this chicken cook. It takes the ambient part of that thermometer quite a while to come up to temp. It's very slow. It's got a big, kind of a heavy ceramic block around that thermometer. So it does take it a while to actually register your ambient temp. This one had been on my grill for probably 10 or 15 minutes at that point. And here we are, it's coming on up. And I did the chicken cooking. Of course, my pictures aren't exactly the way they should be here either. After I did the chicken, I did a pork butt with it. And there's the chicken picture. I've got that. When I put a temp probe in the chicken, I go into the breast and I push that probe down until I hit the rib cage, and then I pull it back about a quarter of an inch, and that's where I measure temperature on a chicken. But the pork butt, I did an overnighter on it on the bark and just let it in there, let it run. So that is just a brief rundown of this device. I'm pretty happy with it. The retail on this guy is $79. It retails for $20 less than the Meter Plus. The yes, Chris, $79 is retail. Right now, the link that's in my video description for this on Man Cave Meals, after tomorrow, there's a 20% off. Uh, there's a Amazon link up there where you can get 20% off. So there's an opportunity to save some money on that if you get it through that link before October the 18th. Uh, the only thing I know of right off the top of my head that this thing won't do that the Meter Plus will do is the Meter Plus, you can install a Wi-Fi bridge. If you've got an extra telephone or an extra smart device, you can create a Wi-Fi bridge where you can uh, monitor that temperature on your phone with the app from anywhere, as long as that Wi-Fi bridge is up. This doesn't have that. This is that capability is not available on this unit. On the plus side, what I like about this unit, what this unit has that the Meter Plus doesn't have, the Meter Plus probe is not waterproof. This probe has an IP67 waterproof rating. When I looked that up, that says you could submerge this guy 3 feet deep for up to 30 minutes, I think was what IP67 was. So it's not going to fail if it gets wet, or it's not going to get damaged if it gets. Gerard, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's possible with this one. I don't. The app does not have the tool to do that built into the app, so I'm not sure. If you wanted to write the code yourself to relay that Bluetooth from to the cloud somewhere, I guess it could be done. But currently, this one doesn't have that. I'll ask those guys if that's part of the plan in the future. It may be or it may not be. Hard to say. But because this probe is waterproof, one of the things I want to do with it that I haven't tried yet is a sous vide cook. I want to stick that probe in a chicken breast, and I like to do my sous vide chicken breasts at 140 degrees, and it takes 2.5 to 3 hours to get there. And once it gets to 140 degrees, it needs to be held there for like 27 minutes to get pasteurization. And I want to try this in that environment and see how well it works. Because if that works, the Meter won't do that, and this will be an advantage. And Levi, I've been asked by several people what the temperature tolerances are on that probe, and I don't know what they are. I haven't looked that up. I don't know if I saw it on the Amazon information, and I don't know if it's in the user's manual here for it or not. But I don't remember seeing. Wait a minute. Here we go. No. Well, wait a minute. It says the temperature range of the internal probe is 14 degrees Fahrenheit to 212. So you don't want to let the internal probe get over boiling. And the ambient temperature probe is 14 degrees Fahrenheit to 527. So you want to keep it, you don't want to use that. I would not recommend using that in a direct fire situation. Like I wouldn't cook steaks over direct flame with something like this. Chris, I'd say 500 degrees. That's 500 degrees of indirect heat. If I would not expose it to direct flame, I don't think that's a good idea based on the fact that it's saying 527 is the max for the ambient. I would not expose that to direct flame. And guys, honestly, a lot of people have asked me that question, and I don't want to come across the wrong way here, but this is the wrong kind of tool to use for cooking a steak. Just use your instant read thermometer. I would find this a clumsy tool for cooking steaks. Jeff, what do you think about that? Would you use a tool like this on a steak or
Now,
a chicken breast? You know, it's
well, first of all, I don't know that you'd have to hood it, bring it in from the side because they say you
right,
want to go up to that line, so you're pushing it in sideways.
right.
You're far better off with your little instant read and call it a day.
If you're gonna do a steak with it, push it in from the side to the mark, and then put a piece of aluminum foil, doubled or tripled aluminum foil on your grill where the ambient part of that is not exposed to the direct flame. But I would not use. This is not a tool I would even consider trying to use for direct fire cooking. It's not the right tool for that. I know in my audience, the people that want this are looking for to use it on the rotisserie, which the
Yep.
Joe, you'll be okay using this on the rotisserie because most of the things you're cooking on the rotisserie, you're not cooking at really high temperatures. And,
Plus, your flame is behind your food source. You're
right.
cooking
And
more on a reflective.
Chris, I'm a big fan now of these ThermoPro instant read thermometers. I did a video. If you'll look on the Man Cave Meals YouTube channel, just recently I did a video comparing several of these uh, instant reads, and then I got another one recently. I bought the one that had the infrared probe on it, or the infrared thermometer on it. I really like that one as well. And their TP, I think it's called the TP 420 or 620. I don't remember. It's their most expensive instant read thermometer is $50. But the one that
How
they
high does the infrared go on that, John?
it goes up to over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It's perfect for a wood fired oven.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't have bought it. I checked that before I bought it because I need IR to read north of 900 degrees for the same reason
Yep.
you do, and it'll do it. And that thermometer is only $30. And it's an instant read. The instant read time on it's not quite as fast as the cheaper instant read ones are, but it's got the IR. It's a 2 to 2.5 second read rather than a 1.5 second read like some of the other ones. So yeah, have a look at those guys.
It takes me that long to focus on it, so we're in good
Yeah,
shape.
but I did a full video demo of that one with the infrared on it. So Chris, check those out. Check out the ones uh, that ThermoPro has, and if you want, I'm a ThermoPro affiliate. I'll be happy to give you my affiliate link for all of that. And actually, if you go buy it from the ThermoPro website, use Man Cave Meals as your discount code, and they'll give you 20% off for just using Man Cave Meals as your discount code. And have a look at the TP19, the TP19H, and the I can't remember if it's called the TP420 or the 620, but they've got three really nice instant read thermometers that are formidable. I've got all three of them, and check the Man Cave Meals YouTube channel. I've shown all three of those, so they're within the last couple of months. So that's that. That's a pretty good tool. I'm pretty happy with that, and I'm going to continue using that for a while. So you'll see it around. So Jeff, guys, I got to tell you something. Jeff inspired me to do hummus. He likes hummus so much that I decided to do hummus just for Jeff. Jeff, I have affectionately named this Jeff's Hummus. So there we go. We talked about
Oh,
this.
you had that to pork butt. We're good.
I've never made hummus before, so I didn't know quite what to expect. I did some research, and I'll tell you up front, this technique is based on a Food Labs technique. Whenever I need an idea, if I can get my idea from Kenji or from Alton Brown, that's where I start. And this came from Food Lab. And everybody said you got to start with dried beans. So I decided that's what we were going to do. So we went, Tanya and I picked up we bought dried garbanzo beans, and that's what I started with. So last night, I weighed out a half a pound of these garbanzo beans, and I put them in a glass bowl. And in that glass bowl, I put water, room temperature water, and what I've got here is salt and baking soda. And the salt is going to help flavor the beans, obviously, but the baking soda acts as a tenderizer here. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as we go. This is a technique that was provided by the food labs that I wanted to use for some reasons that we're going to see here in a minute. So I put that together, I stirred that up and got the salt and baking soda dissolved, and I let that sit out on the counter all night. And it ended up a total of nearly 15 hours, just right there like you see it. So today, I drained those beans and I rinsed them really well. I wanted to get all of the baking soda off of that. I put them in my Dutch oven. I put my water in the Dutch oven, and then I put onion, celery, carrots, and bay leaves. And guys, what you're seeing here is instead, I didn't have a vegetable stock, but what we're in essence doing is creating a vegetable stock during the cook. And this is one of the things I've been saying a lot since I took Chef Todd Moore's cooking classes is flavorful liquids are game changers. Anytime you can cook in a flavorful liquid other than water, you should do it. And you
Water
could do
has
it.
no flavor.
Water, yeah, water has no flavor. And I thought about what if this was going to be a real man cave hummus, I would have used chicken stock, but I decided not to use chicken stock or not create a chicken stock here because hummus is a favorite thing of a lot of vegetarians. So I wanted to keep this vegetarian, and I think I've done that. I don't think I put anything in this that would not be vegetarian. Uh, I'm not 100% sure what's in that tahini, so I didn't actually look at the ingredients. But anyway, what I did was I set this on my stove top and turned the burner on high and kept stirring it a little bit. I brought this to a boil first to get it hot, and then while that was coming up to a boil, I had this is the equivalent of about 2 bulbs of garlic because these garlic cloves are really large, and there's about 1 bulb of garlic plus a couple extra cloves here. I put them in my little sauce pot and covered them with olive oil. And then after that, after this came to a boil, I took it off the burner, and then we took everything out and put it on the pellet grill. I had the bark running at 250, and my objective here with the garlic was to create a garlic confit, and at the same time, we're infusing that olive oil, that extra virgin olive oil, with garlic. And I left the lid cracked open on the Dutch oven where smoke can interact with what's going on in there during this process. About an hour and a half in to that, I wanted to add my habanero peppers to the garlic. I didn't want to put my hobs in there early because I did not want them to become crisp. I wanted to not make those crisp and crunchy. So I finally diced those 2 habaneros. I cored and seeded those guys and diced them up. And then I took them out. When I felt like my garlic was as tender as I wanted it to be, I put the habanero pepper in with that garlic. And I let it stay on the grill for another 15 minutes or so. And then I pulled that off of the grill and brought it inside and just set it on my stovetop, which was not turned on, and let that habanero just steep in that hot oil. So that habanero also brought some flavor to that oil along with the garlic. So when this guy's done, also a couple of times or twice during this process, after I took that garlic off, I ramped the temperature up on the bark to 300 degrees, and then I fully closed the lid on the Dutch oven where that would actually come up to a boil. And I let this stay in there a total of about 4 hours because I wasn't looking for a time target, but I needed for those garbanzo beans to be mushy tender. Uh, you need these guys to be tender for this. And this is at the point where it took me about 4 hours to get to there by the method I used. So I took them out, and then I took my garlic and habaneros and I poured that through a fine mesh strainer to separate the solids from the oil. And then I strained my garbanzo beans. I took out the bay leaves. I took out the onion. I took out the celery, but I left the carrot in there because that that's the method that the food lab did. They left the carrot in there. I guess I could have taken it out, but I couldn't figure out why they took the onions out. But because they did, I did as well. I didn't want to take a risk on making something that wasn't good here, since this is the first time I've made uh, hummus. So the next step is the Vitamix. And guys, if you don't have a Vitamix or don't have a high-speed blender, they say you can do this in a food processor, but this is going to be a challenge for most blenders. But this Vitamix did a pretty good job. I dumped all that in there. First of all, I dumped the garlic and habaneros in first, and then I put a couple of tablespoons of lemon juice in, and then I scraped I put all the beans in, the beans with the carrots, and I ran this guy on high on the Vitamix for about 2 minutes. And, or actually to start with, I only ran it for a few seconds until it firmed up to the point where it wasn't working anymore. The liquid that I drained off of those beans out of that Dutch oven, I reserved 2 cups of that liquid, and we added a cup of that liquid back to this blender to make this smooth enough to where we could actually blend it. So a cup of that extremely flavorful liquid went right back in here. And then when we had all that done, I took it out, and I missed a picture here. I put that puree back into a mixing bowl, and then we added the tahini, which is a sesame paste. And I used a whisk to work all that into here, and I got it completely combined, and then I covered it with plastic. And you're supposed to just let it sit out at room temperature until it cools to room temperature. And then they want you to evaluate the consistency of it. If it's tighter than you want it to be, you can add some more of that liquid that you reserved, 1 tablespoon at a time with a whisk until you're happy with the consistency. I added 1 or 2 tablespoons back to this until I thought I had a consistency that was acceptable. And then I kept working it up here with the wooden spoon until I was happy with it. And then I took one of my oval, Jeff, this is one of my oval cast iron lodge pieces, and smeared that out in there. And I set it once again in the middle of one of my large cast iron pans and put the crackers around it. I was so happy with how that looked after we did that with the smoked cream cheese the other week that I did it again here. And the final thing we did, that oil that we had made the garlic confit and the habanero, I drizzled some of that oil on top of this to finish that off. And in the food lab, they recommended shaking some seasoning on here. They specifically mentioned za'atar, which is a Middle Eastern or North African and Middle Eastern type seasoning blend. But this hummus is a Middle Eastern thing, and shaking that seasoning on there would have, I think, maybe been a good thing to do, but I wasn't sure how the za'atar was going to interact with habanero, so I didn't do it. I'm not familiar with that yet, but there is where I ended up. And Cindy, the garbanzos were in the Dutch oven on the grill. I didn't smoke the beans themselves, but I let smoke interact with that process during the steeping on the grill. And I'm going to bring Tanya back because, guys, I am not qualified to tell you much about hummus because I don't eat a lot of it, but Tanya does. So Tanya, tell people what you thought about the hummus today.
Well, I happen to have a little bit here. There we go. Just a little bit. First thing I want to do is talk about the smell. You've got a nice smell there. It's nice. It's garlicky. You can smell just a little bit of smoke, and then there's that little bit of hint from the pepper. You can, and it kind of comes up there at the last. But it's really quite smooth. It's creamy.
So, based on what Tanya says, I accomplished one of my goals, which was a mild smoke. I definitely did not want this to be something that had a smoke bite. I wanted it to have aroma and a light one at that. And a lot of times I say you shouldn't be able to smell the smoke until you bring the food to your face. And I think I nailed that, I think, on this.
You
And
can detect the slight, once you tasted it, first you get this like really just kind of sweet nuttiness. Then there's a nice garlic and the habanero kicks in, and you can detect just the faintest kiss of smoke.
And Ryan wants to know when the package is being delivered to my house of hummus. I know that's what he's going to say.
Ryan, I'm not going to deliver it to Jeff. When I go visit Jeff and I are going to make it. That'll be something we do together. We'll make it. But where I came up short here, in my opinion, is with the habanero. I put 2 habaneros in this because I thought that would be enough, but I think here's what should have happened. My oil is right. The heat level in that olive oil is good, and the olive oil itself. The olive oil is almost hot enough to light you up if you get too much of it, because I put 2 habanero peppers and what the equivalent would be of maybe 8 ounces of extra virgin olive oil. So 2 habanero peppers will heat up that much olive oil pretty quickly. If I was going to do, based on what I learned today, if I was going to do this again tomorrow, I would do the same thing with the olive oil, but I would probably chop up 2 or 3 more habanero peppers that would not get steeped in the oil, but would go straight in the blender with the garlic and whatnot after the fact. I think that would provide me a little, I would like for the hummus itself to have had a little more heat. The heat did not make it to the hummus. The heat from the habanero did not make it to the hummus, I don't think. Did you detect anything other than the aroma, Tanya, of the habanero?
There's just a teeny tiny bit. I mean, I think you could put some more in there. I mean, I don't think you want to get crazy with it.
Okay, what this also tells me, Tanya, is instead of increasing the habanero, I might be able to pull this off with ghost pepper and have a ghost pepper hummus and use about the same weight amount of ghost pepper in there, because I know the ghost peppers are scary. Okay, Tanya says no, so we're not going to do that. Maybe a combination. Maybe I add a habanero and jalapeno to that.
Yeah, I don't think you want to add 2 ghost peppers to that. I think that would just be really.
Habanero, guys, has it has a citrus flavor and aroma if you don't push it so hard that you can't taste it. Jeff, have you noticed that? Have you been to that flavor before with habanero?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But we won't talk about adding to the hummus.
No, it was really good. It wasn't too thick. It was kind of
it
wasn't peanut buttery. It wasn't like peanut butter. It wasn't that thick. Maybe
I was posting some pictures to our little chat group as I was doing this afternoon, and Anurag picked up on it. I don't think he's with us tonight. I wish he was, but he looked at the picture and said it looked like it was too thick. And the way I look at that is it may have been too thick for some taste and not maybe for others. But the thing about it is if you decide to make this, you can adjust that. Because, like I said, we reserve 2 cups of that liquid that we steep those beans in. 1 cup of it's going into the blender while you're blending, and then you've got a whole nother cup of that you can use to adjust the thickness and texture of your hummus once it's cooled down. You want to let it cool to room temperature before you start adjusting that texture. But you can put more liquid in there, and but you have to do it in small increments. Like I said, 1 tablespoon at a time until you get it to a consistency you like. So you can make it into whatever texture you like by that.
John, which crackers did you use?
I use those same. I threw the box away already. They're the Keebler. I think
They're
Keebler
pita
brand.
crisp.
Pita,
Pita crackers.
Yes, they're triangle. They're really good, and they're
Yeah,
just
I've had those.
they're the
Yeah.
ones that just are salted. They're not the ones that have some other flavor blend on them.
I look at if the consistency is right. If the cracker doesn't break, the consistency is right.
Oh,
Yeah.
you couldn't break a cracker in this. And
Mm-mm.
guys, the other thing when I was reading about making hummus, everybody says you need to take the skins off the hummus beans after you cook them, and that's a tedious process from what I saw. And what I read and what I learned is the technique I use that makes this a little different from the way some people make hummus is after those beans are cooked, what a lot of people do are put those beans, they chill those beans or cool them down before they put them in the blender. Food Lab says do it hot. Do it in the blender, in the high speed blender while those things are hot, and those skins will pulverize. Tanya, was there any sign of any crunchy bit of any kind in the texture of that hummus?
Nope. No, I didn't detect any crunchy except on the cracker.
And Eric, the answer to your question is I think you could do that. I think that is doable. Uh, Tanya, how would you feel about having drizzled in a couple of tablespoons of that habanero infused garlic oil during the blend?
I think that would have probably tasted good.
And Beth, I did not rinse the beans after the cook. Uh, the method that I was looking at did not do that. It only rinsed the beans after the overnight steep in the salt and baking soda. My method did not have us do that. Rinsing the beans after the cook. Okay, I know where that's coming from. Now, some of the stuff I looked at, if you put the beans after the cook in cold water and get in there with your hands, some of the skins will come off and float to the top. That's one of the techniques there. But as I was reading about this, the Food Lab and Kenji and several other people said you can cook these beans until they're practically mush, and you don't have to pull it. They shouldn't have any firmness to them, and you can actually cook them till they're almost pureed themselves. And then you'd put them in a colander and let all the liquid drain off of them that you could before you go to the blender. And those skins, that puts the skins past any point where they're going to create any kind of unpleasant texture in that hummus. Tanya says we did good. So
I thought it tasted good.
Based on that, Tanya and I may try this again. I thought about a lot of other ideas today for flavor profiles that might be fun to do with hummus. Now that I understand the process of making it, Anthony wants to know, will I make this again? I will. And Anthony, I absolutely will because Tanya likes it. And when I find something that I can make that Tanya likes, I will make it again.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
So
next time I'm thinking everything bagel.
Everything bagel. Well, my thought is
I could kind of lean towards that, Tanya.
you just shake the everything bagel on top of it after you've spread it out in that little pan. Are you saying that I should stir everything bagel into the hummus itself? Yeah. Okay. Well, then you have a task. you need to run up to Trader Joe's while you're up there, and because out of all the different everything bagel seasoning blends I've tasted, the Trader Joe's is the best one.
I think it's delicious.
It's my favorite, and uh, maybe you and I'll just run up there, and it's inexpensive. It's only $3 or so for a bottle of that, but yeah,
Now thinking about that, John, I might try hummus with the everything bagel.
okay.
I might
Well,
try that because that might just add enough flavor to get rid of the.
I don't know where you
Well,
think
there's no
from that this
in
doesn't have
this one.
flavor, man. This stuff's packed with flavor. The sesame,
Okay.
the tahini is where the flavor comes from here, guys. The garbanzo beans, I'm there. The garbanzo beans aren't bringing a lot of flavor to the table, but that 8 ounces of the 8 ounces of dry garbanzo beans, I added a cup and a half of tahini to that. And guys, tahini is a very high sesame paste. So
John, I'll tell you what. This week I'm going to make hummus, so I can report back next Thursday
Jeff,
to
are
tell you
you
about
serious?
everything
You're gonna
bagel.
make this?
Not that I'm going to make the everything bagel.
Okay.
I
Well,
think the
Jeff,
everything bagel is.
Jeff,
I'm going to
let me
challenge you
send
to
you.
something.
Jeff,
Um,
go do a quick Google search on to Food Lab hummus and look for that Israeli hummus and use that as your base because
Yep.
that's what I've done here and take it whatever direction you want to go with it. I want to see what you think about it.
Now, Jeff, here's your challenge. You ready? Do you like
Am I
peanut
up to?
butter?
Of course, I like peanut butter.
I'm just going to say it. Peanut butter with a sprinkling of everything bagel seasoning.
Well,
I would
it's
agree.
obviously better than what my mother used to make. She used to make peanut butter and chili sauce sandwiches.
I
I
haven't tried
loved them.
that.
I want to answer Anthony's question here about Man Cave Perfected. And Anthony, in my opinion, I don't know that there is going to be such a thing. This result came out. I was happy with this result. Tanya's happy with this result, and Tanya hasn't told me yet, other than adding some additional pepper to this, what we might do. Uh, Hummus. What you need to do is go to
Hummus is the base to go from.
Yeah, go to the grocery store and look at all the different hummus flavors that are out there, and just let your imagination go wild because the flavor that you decide to go with, the direction you decide to take, is all going to be based on the same base recipe. You're going to have a certain amount of garbanzo beans and a certain amount of tahini. That's got to be the baseline, and what else you put in it. I could, yes, the answer is yes. I could make a man cave perfected recipe, but that's going to be something that to my taste. And I would really like to see everybody take it in a direction that they think they would like. There's a million directions you can go with this. So I like
So,
spicy. Andrew,
where did you get the tahini from, John?
Tanya, where did I buy that? Did I buy that tahini at Ingles? Most
I
grocery
think
stores.
so.
Uh,
It was
you'll find it
either,
at Publix will have it.
yeah.
It might be in
Fresh
there.
Market had it.
It might be in their ethnic food
Yeah, the
aisle.
international section.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
use tahini fairly regularly, so yeah, you can get it.
I haven't looked. I haven't looked to see if my local Walmart or Walmart neighborhood market carries that because I doubt they do. But the
Well, I'm
tahini.
going to try the everything bagel hummus
I'm just
because
telling you.
that's a flavor combination that I think I could get into.
Okay. Well, based on that, Jeff, everything bagels heavy on garlic.
Mhm.
Uh, Make sure you go heavier on your garlic side in what I did here. The method the Food Lab method didn't do the garlic this way either. They put their garlic in raw into the blender with lemon juice, and I did I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the flavor that's brought by raw garlic, but that garlic going to get pureed and it's going to get somewhat cooked by that hot batch of garbanzo beans that's coming into the blender on top of it when you get to talking about puree. And what kind of blender are you cooking with down there, Jeff?
The Ninja.
The Ninja might pull it off.
I think it will because it's got like 3 blades on that thing.
Yeah. So, but I will be forward enough to say that the typical, the average everyday household blender is not up to this
No,
task. My
no,
other
because it
blender,
can't move it around good
yeah,
enough. That's the
my
nice thing about the Ninja. It's got 3 blades in there, so
my Cuisinart blender wouldn't handle this. And I don't know about my the thing I like about the way the Vitamix works is I've got that plunger that I can stick down through the middle, and I use that on this. I kept plunging it while it was blending to keep the paste in contact with the blender blades the whole time. This and you can tell when you're listening to this thing work when you develop that air pocket down there because
yeah.
the the blades are spinning freely and not touching anything. And that's also kind of how you tell how much liquid you need to add. But the food lab just said just put a cup of it in there and work that and use your plunger. And that's what I did. Because one thing you do need to be aware of is if you make this too thin, there's no backing out of that. You don't want to get it too thin. So that's why you do your final thinning out of this after it's cooled to room temperature with some of that liquid you've reserved. And guys, I did make video of this, and I will hopefully get that video published either tomorrow or Saturday. So it's coming. Good stuff.
Yeah. Dead soldier.
Nope. I'm only halfway through this bottle. That one's not going anywhere anytime soon. But Tanya, we need to run back down there because I do want to get that double rye they have.
Okay.
Tanya, I want to go take the tour down there. So maybe one Saturday we'll or we'll pick a day. I don't know. You've got a day off in October, so maybe we can run down there on that Friday that you're off in October and tour that distillery. All right, what am I missing out on, guys? What have y'all got for me? Let's see. I missed this. Did we put this up?
I didn't.
My preference that me and Tanya like. Uh, Anthony, my suggestion is if you don't have a great blender, you need to cook the beans further than you would think you need to cook them. If you cook the beans further than you think you need to cook them, the average everyday blender might work better on this. And Tanya, what or Jeff, Tanya, what's this? If we don't have a blender that's capable of that, what could we do in a mixing bowl with a wooden spoon to turn this into a puree by hand?
Well, if you don't have a blender, do you have a food processor?
A blender or a food processor?
Maybe a
Food process.
food meal.
I don't think a food. I don't know. A food mill might get you started, but this is not something I think I'd want to run through a food mill. I wouldn't run it through mine. Uh,
One of the mashed potato things.
I don't
you
think you'd
you
mash it good enough with that.
I don't think you could either, but you could probably work out some frustration.
the
I think
quality.
you'd get a better consistency to the food mill than
Anthony,
the
here's
mashed
another
potato.
answer. The blender is not contributing to your flavor. What the blender is doing is creating a nice texture. So if you don't have a blender, the only thing if you don't have a great blender, the only thing you might suffer is a texture issue. Your flavor is going to be good uh, no matter what. Chris, I'm drinking Southern. This is called Southern Star Paragon, and this is from a local distillery that's in Statesville, North Carolina. This is a wheated bourbon, and This is a cask strength single barrel, and I picked that up when I visited their distillery, and it's really good. I don't. That one would be hard to find outside of the local area, probably. Anthony, it will. Just have to you have to work with it. Uh, run the food processor, scrape down the sides, run it, scrape down the sides, and you may have to do that 10 times, but you'll get it. It'll get there. There's nothing you can do with a Vitamix that you can't do with something else if you spend the right time doing it. The Vitamix is a convenience tool. It's not a necessity, but that gum, man, I'm sure glad we bought this one.
Yeah, it works great.
I fought that for years, and Tanya,
Ron, are you really going to ask that question tonight?
I know. I was giggling about it.
well,
The lump of choice is the lump that comes easiest for you to get.
Ron, and yeah, that's a good answer. And my answer is whichever bag's closest to the grill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to get there first, John. That's why I say whatever is easiest for you to get.
And I'm going to tell Ron the same thing I tell everybody else. I'm perfectly happy with the Royal Oak lump that they sell at Walmart. I use a lot of that, and it works great for me. I use two lumps. I use the Royal Oak lump, and I use the Kamado Joe Big block. And yeah, my real answer to you is going to be don't get wrapped up in brands of lump charcoal. Any of them are going to work. And the lump is not going to make or break the cook. Anthony did a Thanksgiving practice a couple of weeks ago. Thanksgiving turkey cook. I've done a lot of those. There's a lot of videos out there that I've done on cooking turkey.
Right. First of all, Anthony, you have to understand, John doesn't like turkey. So now, if you want to talk to me about turkey,
that's not true. That's not
I
true.
can give you my recipe for turkey that makes the best turkey that everyone will love. Everyone will eat it. So this is what you do. You just got to go somewhere where they sell some good chocolate and look for the Godiva chocolate turkeys and pick a couple of those up. You can individually plate them and make them look really good. And people love those.
I like that thought process, Tony.
I've convinced my mom that we don't do Thanksgiving. I'm trying to start a new tradition in our family that we have lasagna on Thanksgiving. And turkey. I know how to cook turkey, and I've done all the tricks. I've done all the bells and whistles. The only thing I haven't done is had a real fresh turkey, simply because I don't have access to that close to where I live. But the way I look at it is you've got to do a good bit of work to make what I call great turkey. And when you do all that work, what you're left with is turkey. And it just ain't that great. I would rather have something else.
Okay, so Anthony, I'll give you the real answer. If you haven't tried the Atlanta Grill Company Ultimate Turkey Package, grab it. You're good to go.
So yeah, you can do whatever you want to do. I don't know. I'm not cooking a turkey this year for Thanksgiving for sure. I haven't talked to my mom for sure yet what we're going to do, but I'd like to do the lasagna. I like lasagna.
Well, I don't like turkey at all, so I ain't touching that stuff, y'all. I'll eat the mashed potatoes, and I will eat the stuffing/dressing, provided that there is not turkey in it and that it hasn't been shoved up the turkey's wazoo.
Right.
Hey, Tanya, have you tried Paula Dean's stuffing recipe?
Probably not.
You need to try that. It's really,
my stuffing recipe. There's nothing wrong with my stuffing recipe.
I didn't say there was anything wrong with your stuffing recipe, John. I just said try Paula Dean's.
My stuffing's good. And Tanya,
I
can't remember if Tanya liked it or not.
I'm not particular. I'll eat stovetop.
So yeah, I don't know. It's too early. I don't know. Guys, I'll start talking about Thanksgiving stuff around the first or second week of October. And what I'm not going to cook anything. I don't think I'm going to cook much anything new for Thanksgiving. I might repost some older videos, but
Well, now
I don't.
let's talk about the real thing that we should all be celebrating right now. It is 9:45, which means we are officially in autumn.
That's right.
Is that
And a
right?
lot of states are
Yes,
getting
at
cooler
9:05.
weather tomorrow. Florida, on the other hand, is not.
Right, but
Oh boy. Well,
fall is
we'll
ahead.
see. Uh, who knows?
We'll see fall in February.
So, well, I love fall, so I'm ready for it. I'm ready to, you know, put on a 3/4 sleeve shirts. I'm not going to go for the long sleeves, but that and some footies and sitting on the couch and watching football.
Anthony, you're on the right track there. I think that's one of the best things you can do with turkey. Uh,
Yep.
I my best turkeys are injected full of butter. I'll take on a typical turkey, I will melt a pound of butter, 4 sticks of butter, and in that I will put garlic, I will put onion, uh, I might even put cayenne pepper in that, and I will suck that into my injector, and I will inject that entire pound of seasoned melted butter into that turkey. That's one of the best things you can do to make great turkey. I don't think brine, if you're gonna, you don't need to bother brining a grocery store bird. They've already been injected with saline. You're not going to gain anything by brining that. The only turkey you need to brine is one that has not been pre-injected with something else. The flavors, if you want to brine it in some of these flavor blends, that will put additional flavor on the outside of the bird. But the flavor, the only thing that gets into the bird on a brine is the salt. So, uh,
Well,
I don't want to discourage you from doing that. You can do that, but scientifically, the salt molecule is the only one small enough to travel inside the bird from osmosis. But play with it. I do think the butter injection is the absolute single best thing you can do for turkey, and cook hot. That's the other thing I do. 400 degrees. Cook that sucker hot. If you want that skin to have that bite through texture, cook it hot. Make sure it's completely dry on the outside. Smear a very thin smear of oil of your choice on it and season the outside of the bird. If you want to stuff seasoning under the skin, feel free to do that too. But if you get that butter injection going like you want it, that under the skin seasoning is not necessary. So
well, for those
I
of
like
you
taking
who are
softened butter and put it under the skin rather than injecting.
yeah, I like to. I just inject mine, man. I pump that thing full of melted butter, and the bird's cold, so that melted butter that you're putting in there solidifies pretty quick.
Yep.
But it's in there. That flavor that you're putting in there gets all into that bird when you put it in there with an injector. I can't believe I'm talking about Thanksgiving stuff already.
well, I'm going to make a suggestion here. I think Thanksgiving for a lot of people is really about tradition, and I think you should all go out and read F. Scott Fitzgerald's turkey recipe, and do that accordingly, and that you will really, really enjoy your Thanksgiving.
I don't have any idea what she's talking about, Jed.
I know exactly what she's talking about. Watch the smile, see? I know exactly what she's talking about.
Yes, you should
Hopefully.
definitely go read that, y'all. So that's your literary assignment for this week. Read F. Scott Fitzgerald's recipe for the perfect turkey.
That's right.
All right. Well, guys, we got to shut down. I've uh, I've got to get some sleep, guys. I'm spent, and I think the Southern Star is probably going to help take me there tonight. So, we'll be back next week. I'm going to hit Chef Eric up this week. I don't know where Chef is. He's posted some stuff on Instagram out the airplane window, so he may or may not be in the country or at home. But I'm gonna maybe I'll talk to Chef and get Chef on, and let's talk about Thanksgiving stuff and get some ideas from Chef Eric about maybe some non-traditional Thanksgiving things that'd be cool and fun because I'd be willing to spend October making new stuff that's Thanksgiving oriented. Tanya and I were actually talking about one this week. I'm going to do another pumpkin cheesecake, and we talked. Tanya and I talked about that this past week, and Tanya gave me a really kick-ass idea, something to do with cheesecake. So I'm going to try it. That Tanya's idea was more of a Halloween idea than a Thanksgiving.
Well, that's the whole thing we need to stop and think about. Everyone gripes about Santa interrupting with their Thanksgiving. Well, I'm going to gripe right here. I don't think we should let turkeys interfere with our Halloween.
Yeah. I'm with you, Tanya. I'm Halloween excites me.
Let's enjoy each holiday as they come.
Yes.
Well, Sam's Club's already got Christmas stuff out. I'm seeing that every time.
No.
I was in Sam's
Target's got
Club
it out.
today. Yeah, I was in
Everybody's
Sam's. Yeah,
got it out.
I posted something back in early September. I posted a thing on my Facebook page. The first time I saw Christmas stuff in Sam's Club was the first part of September. They've got Christmas decorations for sale.
Well, think back, John. Do you remember when did the Sears and Roebuck Christmas catalog come out? Wasn't that the 1st of November?
I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing. I
guess you
remember.
weren't old enough then.
The wish
No,
book.
I don't remember when it came out, but I remember fondly having that when I was a kid. I spent hours. The toys were at the very back of the catalog.
Yeah.
And man, I spent hours thumbing through that when I was a kid, looking at what I might want for Christmas. Night,
Yeah.
Janice. Janice, I'm glad you could make it. Janice is out in Texas. I think Janice was traveling here recently. I can't remember where she was. So, Janice, I really want you to come on here one Thursday night with me and Jeff and Tanya.
I do too.
Yeah. I need to hit that up again, see if we can make that happen. Janice, I got to meet Janice back in June, and gosh, she's a lot of fun.
She's
And
a hoot.
she's another one of these people that can cook circles around me. So I'd like to get her on here and talk shop. Janice is no stranger to cooking over fire, guys. I've watched her. I've seen the stuff she does, and it's off the hook. And
She has a nice
Janice
arsenal
will
of
be
goodies to play with.
Janice will be cranking up really hot and heavy here very shortly because as the weather where she lives starts to get tameable, Janice will have her fires burning hot outside. She lives in a very warm climate. She's out in Texas around Jeff, where is she in Texas? It's on the Gulf Coast, not far from the Gulf Coast, not far out of Corpus Christi, somewhere down that way.
She told us when we met, but I don't remember.
All I know is that she drove 1,000 miles to get to Georgia. So yeah,
I know she has to send me her address one of these days because I got to send her some stuff.
Well, I'll beg Janice. I'll beg Janice to come on with us.
That'd be great.
Yeah. All right, guys. Y'all have a
Hey,
good
John,
week.
if you want Janice to come on, just tell her if you don't come on, Jeff's not going to send you what you asked for.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I'm not bribing Janice. That's not me. I wouldn't do that to Janice. I like Janice too much. So, guys, y'all have a good week. We'll see you back next Thursday. Y'all be good.